How do you manage to sleep standing?
Oh, Professor Rain, is class over?
I've been a longtime fan of the Tales series, going back to the PlayStation 1 title Tales of Destiny, but one game I never got around to is the fan favorite Tales of Symphonia. Now that Namco has re-released this title in HD along with its Wii counterpart Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World on PlayStation 3, I've finally been able to get my hands on and play this classic. While it definitely doesn't hold up to its contemporaries like Exilia and Grace's F, it's still a really solid title and gives you that old school feeling and has a certain charm to it that I really enjoy.
Amazing! This guy's incredibly strong.
Yeah, I suppose so.
In Tales of Symphonia, you play as Lloyd Irving. Now, he's kind of a little bit of a mischief maker, gets into trouble, doesn't always do what he's told, but he's definitely a good friend and loyal to those close to him. What starts out as a pretty normal day at school turns out to be the beginning of a really grand adventure. Lloyd will eventually accompany his friend Colette around the world as she tries to revive it and basically save the world. It's kind of interesting to go back to a game this old and hear some of the voice actors and just kind of remember them as voice actors in cartoons I used to watch when I was little. So it's really interesting, like I said, because a lot of the contemporaries or people that you hear in games now and in anime, they pretty much recycle them out. But in this game, there's voices that I haven't heard in a long time. It was interesting to go back and hear those voices and just to hear that there was voice acting in a game that old. To be honest, the story isn't anything all that interesting. It's pretty standard for a JRPG, you know, go to the temples or save the crystals or go do 5 things, and you know, there's some betrayal here and, you know, friendship and love there. Pretty standard for a Tales game, but nothing to write home about for sure. The game has the standard 3D action combat that the Tales series is known for. It's a little sluggish, again, compared to games like Exilia and Grace's F, but it's still pretty solid and holds up well. You'll have your standard attacks and again your arts attacks, and you can combo them together and use items if you need to. The one thing that I didn't like about this, or that really bothered me, is I felt like the balance was really off, at least at the very beginning of the game. You would fight guys, and almost every single just regular mob, a regular guy on the field, could pretty much kill you. It was almost like a mini boss fight every single time. They hit really hard, and you basically have to focus on blocking a lot more, which I wasn't used to because I had just come off of beating Exilia. So it was a pretty jarring change, if you will. While challenge isn't a bad thing, this change up from Exilia, obviously I'm going backwards here, but it was a little jarring. It was hard to get used to. Not only did I feel like the balance was off, but the other thing that bothered me is you didn't get a lot of experience from these battles or money. So if I did want to, like, say, grind and fight battles over and over and level up to get stronger, you barely got enough money to go back to the inn and rest up and then go back and do it all over again. Basically, I would fight, maybe do 2 or 3 battles, and then I was super low on life, and then I had to run all the way back to the inn, and I just barely had enough money to rest up. So to me, maybe it changes near endgame, but through my time playing through the game, I felt like the balance was really off, and it was hard to grind and just get through the game, at least, again, as far as I got to. Now, I am playing the HD remake version, and there are some enhancements, and the game looks a lot better, I'm sure. One thing that's a little disappointing is I remember the GameCube version playing in 60 frames per second, and this is only in 30, which isn't a huge deal because I'm kind of used to 30 frames on PS3 anyway, but it would have been nice if they got it up to 60. The graphics definitely look a lot better for sure. The colors really pop. Like every time I played the game, you know, colors like yellow and green and red would just really pop off the screen, especially in the starting town with the grass and flowers and just different things around the town. It really popped out and it looked beautiful. Although there were times when there were certain textures that looked really, really rough. Like, it's clear that all they did was upscale this game. They definitely did not go back and redo textures, which is a bit of a disappointment considering that the Kingdom Hearts HD re-release definitely went back and redid textures. If you go and play that, you can tell that they put some work into that. And while, again, it's not the worst thing in the world, it would have been nice to see a few more enhancements considering this is an HD re-release. For me, the music isn't super memorable. I'm sitting here trying to remember certain tracks about the game, and it's not nothing is coming to mind immediately, but I believe there were a couple, you know, soothing town songs, and the battle music, as always, is probably, you know, heart pumping. It's going to get you excited to do the battles, but overall, the music wasn't anything special, and as I mentioned at the beginning, The voice acting is from a lot of old school voice actors that I remember being in cartoons from when I was a kid. So this was in the early days of voice acting in video games, and it's not exactly the best. Definitely could have used a little redoing, or they could have done a better job. But again, they're probably using the same voices from the original release, so it's not going to get a whole lot better than it was. Overall, the game is enjoyable, and if you are a Tales fan, this is a really great value. It's going to be a big, meaty RPG. Not only in Tales of Symphonia, but you also get Dawn of the New World, which I have heard isn't as good. But if you're just looking at a pure value standpoint and you haven't played that game before, it's cool to get 2 huge RPGs remastered in HD for $40. I think it's a really good deal. And it definitely has some old school charm, at least Symphonia does, with design and simple animations and simple characters and old school voice acting. It was cool to go back and play a game that's now almost over 10 years old, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But as I mentioned before, the one thing that did really bother me was the balance. I heard it gets a lot better once you get further into the game, but as I've played through the game, it was really annoying, and grinding was a chore, and I didn't have enough money to do whatever I wanted. So that was a little bit disappointing and not quite as fun as I was hoping to.
Okay, I don't really get it, but I already feel stronger. I can't wait to try it out.
I think you're just imagining things.
If you like the video, guys, definitely give it a like. It really helps spreading the word and gets the channel out there to more people, so I really appreciate that. And if you want to know when all my videos come out, hit the subscribe button and you'll know as soon as they're released. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you next time.